there's a lot of trailers actually before Weapons started, and I'm trying to remember them all. But the one that actually stuck out to me, believe it or not, was the Roses. And I know that's a
Yes.
remake,
Yes.
but it's like, yeah, I think to call it a remake would be a disservice
Yeah, I
because
don't
it
think it
is its
is.
own
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
So
It's a
yeah,
I've seen it in
it's an
2 weeks with my
idea. Are
parents.
you?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Oh,
I
it's
don't
a classic film. My parents
War of
love
the
the
Roses
original.
is the
Just real,
I
best.
never
real.
saw the original. There's one before the Michael Douglas one, I think,
Is
isn't
it
there?
really?
I think there
You
might
know,
be.
I think
Oh, I
actually I
didn't
think
see.
you're right. I think you're right.
Oh, I didn't know
Um,
that.
but I saw the Douglas Turner one, and that one
Yeah,
I've loved that one. Like
classic.
I always think about the chandelier, you
Which
know,
is
Yeah,
why I
which
totally think in the trailer when the chandelier falls, that was a little nod to
yeah.
like
it
the original
was.
finale. By the way, you guys that the Michael Douglas film was the original, but there
Oh,
was a
okay.
novel that was written in 81. So,
Oh,
but
okay,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, okay, yeah, but keep on.
I think
Yeah.
well, and I just think it's the original is like a dark comedy, right? Like it
Hmm.
definitely
a 100%.
it has its like moments that are, not as funny as
No.
this new one's going to be. Like if this new one looks more
Oh,
raw comedy,
yeah, but pretty dark too, and they're probably gonna like But by the way, but the budget was 26 million and it made 160 million. So that movie
which
was
did.
a hit.
Oh,
The
the
War of
original
the
War of the
Roses.
Roses?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It was a hit. Probably Kathleen Turner's last big like
Yeah.
role.
Yeah. What did
They
she
had good
just do? She just
chemistry.
came back for something.
I believe it.
She was just in
Um,
something like in the last year or two, but she's basically been gone
yeah.
since these movies.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, I'm trying
oh,
to remember. Oh yeah, of course, him. That one looks good. The new what's his name, Jordan Peele movie with Marlon Wayans. It's basically
dude,
kind of
I
a
haven't seen a
weird
trailer
athlete
that has
one.
me convinced.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. They didn't show a trailer before I saw Weapons, so I don't know. But I
Okay.
haven't seen a trailer that really makes me care. Like it looks crazy,
Yeah.
but like I haven't seen anything that feels like a story.
Yeah. I
Um,
want to see Caught Stealing with Austin Butler. That looks good to me as
Dude, that
well.
one looks crazy to me because that one looks like it's like Pulp Fiction, but Darren
Darren
Aronofsky.
Aronofsky.
I saw the trailer and I was
I saw
like,
the trailer too. It was so quick though. It was just like it was literally
Yeah.
it was the shortest trailer ever, and
oh,
it was kind of like,
really?
yeah, it was just like boom, 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 a lot of actors. See you next month, and
Oh,
I'm just kind of
see,
like,
mine was longer, but it's
okay,
frenetic. It has
yeah,
or it doesn't, it's like Pulp Fiction or probably more accurately something like Snatch, like
sure, yeah,
something that's just, it looks quick. Like it does not look like an Aronofsky film at all to me. Like you're talking Requiem for a Dream and
right.
then this, like we're two completely different things. Um, so yeah, I'm definitely curious about that one. I do want to see that one. It's him. Is it Zoe Kravitz?
Zoe
Yep.
Kravitz. Yep. I'm going to see that
Um,
in 2 weeks. I have like my movies lined up for the next 2 months, and Andrew Blackphone 2 is on that list as well for
Nice.
October.
All
So
right,
yeah,
yeah, I'll see
that's
that.
I'm going to see
yeah,
it. I mean, I'm not happy I think it would have been fine as its own, but we'll see
Sure,
what comes out. But that's on my list because
the new
you
Freddy Krueger.
yeah. The trailer looked good. The trailer
the
looked good,
grabber.
but I worry about what the like how far they're gonna go.
Yeah,
Like I'll actually talk about that when we talk about Alien too, about how the more sequels you make, kind of the further you stray from the path. Um,
100%.
I don't know where to start. You want to start with the newest thing out of everything I think that we saw is Alien Earth, right? So I'm
Yeah.
talk about that real quick because um, first we'll talk about the show, but then I went on a crazy psychopathic Alien series rewatch this week after watching Alien Earth. So I
Uh-huh.
watched the entire franchise other than
No
Alien versus Predator.
way. Are you
Um, yeah,
serious?
yeah, I watched all five, six films,
Sick.
six films,
Wow.
and then the series. So, um,
Demented.
mostly because as the show came out, I saw a bunch of stuff saying, "Oh, it's ignoring Prometheus and Covenant." People were both happy and angry about that. As they are with Prometheus and Covenant, they're very happy and angry about those two films. And then what, kind of also wanted to know what it means for the rest of the franchise. And actually, there's seven films because you have to include Romulus also.
Right.
So,
Which was damn good.
which I also watched. So, I had a crazy couple of days and just went absolutely bonkers on that. But Alien Earth takes place in what is it, 2120, which is 20 years before Alien. Um, it's 16 years after Covenant. So, we've got a solid timeline there. Uh, but this show, it's a different take for sure, or different feel to it for sure. Less claustrophobic than any Alien film, because we're not in necessarily a tight space, although some of it does take place in a ship for now. I think that's about to change with the upcoming episodes. But we meet, or we get a kind of a new story too that they haven't really covered so much in the Alien franchise. In that, what we've seen historically has been robots, androids, right? And they are critical to almost every Alien story. Uh, but they all we've ever seen is androids as androids. And so what Alien Earth tells us is there's actually three kinds. You have the androids, you've got cyborgs, and then you have this new thing they're calling hybrids, which they're taking android bodies and uploading people's basically brains into them so they can live forever is the goal. And so our story kind of focuses on this one girl. Her name becomes Wendy. I forget what her name is before she.
Mercy, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Mercy.
Yeah, before she uploads. But the idea is this company that we've never heard of. So also when it comes to the Alien franchise, Weyland Yutani is everywhere. They are the all-seeing eye of the Alien universe, right? But it turns out there's actually five major corporations on Earth that we haven't really heard about up until now. And this is this kid that's making these robots or
Hybrid.
these
Mhm.
hybrids is kind of the up and comer. His name is even Boy something or other.
Boy
Uh,
Genius or Boy Cavalier.
Boy Cavalier, there you go. And he is taking terminally ill children and putting them into the robots because he feels that the idea is that because just generally speaking, children's minds and brains are more elastic. They can handle that change more than or that move more than an adult can. And then she's got a brother that thinks she's dead, right? The part of her transformation is that it had to be a secret, and she was already terminally ill. So the brother thinks she died, and he ends up in danger because a ship crashes on Earth with a bunch of aliens on it of different types and volatility. And so that is our story. She sees him on the news and decides she needs to take her little crew of what they call the Lost Boys because Peter Pan is kind of a big undertone for them. And they go and try and rescue him from the trouble he's getting himself into, trying to, see what happens in this crash ship. So story all told and bunched up into like 3 minutes from 2 hours.
Hmm.
What did you think of the first two episodes?
I'm in. I'm in. I've never heard of Noah Hawley before, but I just knew that he
Oh,
absolutely does matter.
he was
So I
Civil
do
War
know.
and wasn't he
Well, I
Civil
see.
War and
I think you might be thinking of
no, I'm
I
thinking
think
of
you're
somebody else.
thinking of
I
you're
know I've
thinking
heard
of
of.
you're thinking of the guy who really is actually Sunshine. I think that was his first one.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then
No, Sunshine was Danny Boyle.
But no, and Garland. You're thinking of Garland.
Garland, that's
Alex
right.
Garland. Alex Garland's the guy who did Civil War, and actually Garland and Boyle, I think, did worked on Sunshine together.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
And we'll park that for a second, but I definitely have an opinion on them, and it's not bad, but it's just definitely like an opinion. But we're totally rewatching that, by the way. Like actually, Salone's never
Which
seen it
one?
before. Sunshine,
Oh, I just
and
watched it.
that movie is like, yo, that. Sorry, I know we digress in this podcast. That movie has so many stars, like all in
Yes.
one movie, and they all went on to do bigger and better things. Like I should say not better, bigger things because Sunshine's a damn good movie. But anyway, now going back to Noah Hawley, bringing it back. This guy's worked on a lot of FX series like
Hmm.
Fargo, Legion, Bones, and I guess The Unusuals and My Generation. I haven't heard of those, but Fargo and Bones and Legion are all shows people have heard of. In any event, I love it. I do. I think that the show feels, in my opinion, a bit more like the original Alien universe. Something that you said, I think, in our chat was about how when you're going to make a prequel, the prequel can't have tech that looks more advanced than the show that follows it, right?
Right.
And I think that you had mentioned Prometheus does feel way more advanced than like the first 1979 Alien. Whereas this show absolutely kind of captures the aesthetic of the first Alien film. Kind of the same way oh my God, Rogue One goes back to the
Yes.
feel of the original Star Wars films. Um I love that like another thing about Prometheus, I'm gonna, what you'll defend it, I'm sure, is how I remember like you don't even see the damn xenomorph until like the very end,
Yes.
and it's not even really a xenomorph. I mean, it is, but it's like really. Whereas
Well,
this show, like, yo, xenomorph shows up like immediately, and he's effing people up, dude. Like
the second episode is an absolute bloodbath. It's
it is a
amazing.
bloodbath. Like I was just thinking to myself, yeah, see, there's certain shows I think would be cool to be in. This is not one of them. Like, as a matter of fact, like you never want to be if you just do not pick the Alien franchise. Don't be in Attack on Titan. Don't be an Alien. Hell, don't even be in Predator, but I think Alien's even worse. Do not be an Alien. Like you will be torn to shreds for sure.
Yeah.
But no, the sense of dread that I feel. Oh, and I also love even the flickering lights thing. Like that is
Hmm.
definitely, I think, a hallmark to Alien. It's just kind of like it's always got to be a little bit of strobe light effect going on. If you have epilepsy, don't watch this show. Um, no, I love Kyle Chandler's daughter. I think that
Yeah.
she is a great job. I think this is a breakout role for her. I think she's gonna get a lot more roles after this because she's and all the kids, like the synth kids who are in adult bodies, are doing a good job acting like children in
Yes.
grown bodies. Timothy Oliphant. Basically,
Oh,
what
I
I'm trying
love
to
him.
say is like everyone is bringing their A game from an acting perspective, and then the guy who plays her brother, I recognize him immediately. The first thing I saw him in it was the Black Mirror episode Shut Up and Dance, which is one of my favorite ones because it's so damn bleak. And I think Lauren might have seen that one. But then after that, he was also in a miniseries. I think something like The End of the World. It was like a Netflix show, and it was like kind of like a coming of
The
age.
end of the fucking world.
The end. Thank you. The end
I
of the fucking
love that. I love that
yeah.
show.
So that guy's a talented actor, or
Yeah.
Brit. So
He was in
yeah, I
Andor
mean,
also. Five episodes of Andor.
oh, he was an ant. There's an ant. This show gives me Andor vibes. So and
Hmm.
I love how. Oh, I'm sorry. One last thing I'm gonna say is I love how at the end of every episode they leave me wanting more. Like I
Yeah.
think like it's almost like well, of course they're gonna end it here because like they're about to do something and then they just turn on the rock music and then it's just like credits. F you. So I'm in. I'm in so far.
His
Yeah.
name is Alex Lothar, by the way, the
Yeah.
one who
Thank you.
plays James. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He's really good. I think too, I think you can see the creativity behind somebody that understands television. Like you know that you have X number of and this one's made for FX, right? So it's gonna be roughly every episode's gonna be roughly 45 minutes. You're gonna have to break up the acts, know where your commercial breaks are, know where your show ends. You don't get that abstractness that you get when you do
Streaming.
regular streaming, right? So there's rules they have to follow to make this show that are a little tighter than doing something for like Netflix or Hulu or something. But it works. Like they did a really good job working. Like you said, they know that when this episode ends, it has to end at a point that says you're going to think about this for a week. And like where it ends, this one for sure. I love it when she's like, watch the omelet and then jumps out the window. Like,
I love how he just guessed accurately, like they look like eggs. And I'm
yeah,
like, and and why is James like peering over the like sorry, like I even thought to myself, Andrew, and you guys know me by now. If I saw some alien ass looking things, Andrew is over by the door. Like he
yeah,
is not walking over, looking over it, investigating because
that's how you
anyway,
die. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Anyhow,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's fantastic. Like you said and you're right. So I when I watched Prometheus and when I watched Covenant, less so Covenant because it was already established, but also a lot of Covenant doesn't take place in the ship. The stuff that takes place that they did well in Prometheus and Covenant that I think people don't talk about is they designed the ship exactly like the ship they find in Alien. So we don't see a lot of the outside of the ship in Alien that they find. That's pretty early on in the movie. They go into that and they leave, and then everything goes to shit. But the the design of it is very much what we see
Yeah.
in Prometheus and then Covenant, and it they did a really good job on that one. And it's just the main ship, like the difference between. So if you look at the and they definitely did this, like rewatching Alien. If you watch the first episode of Alien or the first opening scene of Alien, the way everything opens up there is almost identical to how Alien Earth opens up. It's on the ship. They're coming out of their pods. They sit down to eat. Everybody's talking. The feel of every character of the space being more
Yes.
confined, being a little like grimier, all of that. Now, granted, the Nostromo in Alien is a salvage vessel. The ship in the Maginot, I think is what it's called, or Maginot, in Alien Earth is a research vessel. So they're out there collecting things and bringing them back. Whereas in Prometheus, it was a 100% highly funded research vessel.
Okay.
So
Right.
to be fair, not only that, but what we find at the end of Prometheus, and I'm going to spoil some of these movies if you've never seen them. The end of Prometheus, we find out that Wayland, the guy behind Wayland Yutani, is on board the ship. So this is his last trip. So of course he would have put money into this thing to get there. Now, I still feel it should have been grimier. Like it just felt too nice. Everything was just too pretty. It was like I said, it was not quite to the same level, but you think of like Star Wars when you had the original series where everything felt outer space and
Warm,
grimy and dirty, and then you go back, 40 years or whatever it is.
pristine.
Yeah, and everything is gorgeous. Like they have like every starfighter, every day, everything is so shiny and neat and new. And especially if you think about the story in Star Wars, when the Emperor takes over and he's running everything, you would think he would have built even nicer things for his like army. So like,
Subjects. Right. Yeah.
yeah, so it doesn't quite fly for
Hmm.
me in the prequels in that regard. Um, and so I don't think Prometheus was quite that over the top, and Covenant wasn't quite that over the top, but it definitely there's a difference there. Like there's a noticeable difference between the quality of the places, which again, making a movie when you have the budget, you're like, well, I want it to look better because it's for more modern film. It's for more modern, everything's more modern. Um, but Alien Earth does such a good job of just not updating that stuff. Like the whole mother room
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily look better. The keyboard, doesn't look any better. So
Even the computer, like talking the terminal, is
yeah,
still the black with the green
yeah,
font
yeah.
with the lines. Yeah.
Yeah, and so which is funny actually because they've talked about so we have just humanity today has a probe I forget I think it's Voyager is the farthest thing from
Yeah.
Earth in history.
64K of RAM or
Yeah,
something.
it
That
runs
we,
on
yeah.
absolutely nothing. I mean, it basically runs on like a calculator motherboard at this point, and
Nuts.
it's still able to gather the information and send it back. So you think about yes, there's probably a lot of stuff under the hood in these ships that they have. But at the same time, they're probably saving some, compute on some of this stuff being more basic. If you don't need it, you don't put it in there. Um, but so going back to like the whole of the Alien universe real quick, when we start with Prometheus, the opening scene in Prometheus is one of the engineers on
Earth.
Earth. Presumably, all we ever see is water and a waterfall. So
Hmm.
we're not sure if they're just showing what they do or if this is actually Earth. But presumably Earth. And he drinks this black goo, and it basically breaks him down into his atoms, which then fall into the water, which then start the creation of humanity. Now, I've seen people um, that were like, "Oh, well, what does that mean for Darwinism?" Da, da, da. I'm like, no, that's exactly what happens once they put their DNA in there, because it has to go and create the organisms that become the next organism that builds up into humanity as it is. So. That's fine. They jump away from that after that. It's just kind of implied that we are up. The
Wow.
fuck is that? Um, Jesus
That was
Christ.
the first.
I don't super excited about those bubbles. Um, but what we find is, that we were definitely created by the engineers and by their own sacrifice, basically, right? And in as time goes by, we become them. You mentioned it, and I saw it in a different timeline, so it has come up. But the idea somewhere in some other non-film bit of story, there's the possibility that Jesus was sent by the engineers in the alien
In the
storyline.
alien story. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, exactly. And I remember like when Wayland even talks to one of the engineers, and we don't necessarily understand what it said, but it just said some mean stuff to him and then like basically killed him.
Hmm.
And I think people were saying, yeah, the engineers are not cool with humans
Mm-mm.
because
Mm-mm.
Jesus was an engineer and he came back and we killed him. And they're like, oh, hell no. Like, because even the Bible says, like, you were created in my image,
Right.
right?
Right.
So if an engineer, like, literally sacrifices himself and becomes like the birth of all humanity, then yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it was a very Prometheus, and that was my issue with Prometheus. I mean, as I do, like when I hear a movie was coming out, even back then, way before this podcast era, I would read everything about it and go into the lore. And I was just kind of like, man, I love science fiction because it always asks the bigger questions or explores the bigger
Hmm.
questions. So then when it's just like, oh, people doing dumb stuff and then like spaceships falling on people running in a straight line, they could have just zigzagged, but whatever. I'm being a dick. It's just kind of like, what is this? And it was very disappointing. But yes, to confirm what you said, the idea was that yes, the engineers are basically like our makers. They were our
Hmm.
gods.
Yeah. Well, less so a god necessarily, but more just, but definitely creators. Like it's
Yes.
the idea isn't that they watched over everything we did and at least from what we've seen, like maybe they showed up more than once because there's cave drawings about them and things like that. So maybe they came back and checked on their creations and
Dude,
stuff.
I'm so sorry. I have to jump in. So even the space jockey, right? Apparently, there's like I think a Mayan or some sort of
Yes.
like, I think it's Latin American thing that the space jockey pose was based on, man. So
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, to your point about maybe they've come back, maybe they're based on the Anunnaki.
Yeah.
Um,
All
yeah,
kinds of stuff. Yeah. So one thing that's interesting. So Prometheus, I actually watching these, and
back to
starting
back.
from the beginning, having it been a while since I've watched Alien, so I'm not steeped in lore. I'm not tied to anything. When I'm watching these, I enjoyed both films quite a
Yeah.
bit, actually.
Okay.
And the thing that I always see is like people are like, oh, well, they don't really, um, they're
Connect.
not faithful to Alien. There's blah blah blah. How did David create all? He created the aliens, so blah blah blah. That is not what happens in this at all. We are seeing a pocket of a place that is dead and gone. So all these experiments, all these things that David finds and that our people find in Prometheus are relatively old. And so you have to imagine that this isn't the only place where they're creating the engineers are creating their experiments. So people the reason that the um, xenomorph that we see at the end of Prometheus is different is because it did not come from a human being. It came from an engineer. And when they gestate inside whatever they gestate in, they gain different DNA
Yeah.
and stuff like that before they become the xenomorphs. And so the idea people were like, well, David created them all because he experimented on them for so long in Covenant. The idea in Covenant is he leaves with what's her name,
I
and
don't know. Yeah.
they're going back to the home world because she's got questions. Well, what we find out in Covenant is, and this is an interesting thing too. I found that um, it'll be interesting to see what they do with Alien Earth, but as you watch through maybe even the third Alien film, there's always a storyline where an android sort of is a little too affectionate towards another character, usually a female character. So, David was weird with what's her name,
I got it.
and
Look it up now. All right.
yeah, and ultimately he before Covenant, before the story in Covenant starts, uses her to experiment on because her body is in his little lab.
Elizabeth
So
Shaw.
yeah, so he hatched an alien out of her at some point in his experimentation process. So even though he cared for her, and then the second David, um, which was not David, it was something with a W. No, Marvin, I can't remember. Um, but he had a thing for one of the other girls on the ship. And in Alien Earth, we've got the creepy Asian dude robot that's like weird about that one like teenage girl, like super creepy. Which doesn't matter because he dies, but it still sets this kind of thing up
Pattern.
where the alien or not the aliens, the androids are a little weird,
Hmm.
you know. And what you come to find out, which we really saw in Alien, and we see in Prometheus and Covenant, is the idea that because they're programmed, they may, and we even in Romulus, they have, they can be on a mission, but they almost all have like a sub mission in there that is from Wayland Yutani that says, you're going to find stuff for us, and you are a robot. You're programmed to do this thing.
They're
All the
double
people you
agents.
with are expendable as long as
Correct.
we get the product that we want.
Yes.
Um, and so when you look at Prometheus, they were supposed to leave with that entire ship and as much of the stuff on that ship as they could find. And the idea was is that Wayland was supposed to go find a engineer, living or dead, find the secret to living
Immortality.
forever and move on. Um, so the timeline is that Alien um, or Prometheus is in 2089. So that's what,
I've got it.
30?
Yeah, I've got it all in front of me.
Yeah, it's like
Prometheus is
30 years before,
2093, and then
yeah,
Covenant is like
2104, and
2104,
then Alien Earth
and
is
Alien Earth is
2120.
2120. Yep.
Yeah. And so there's definitely a lot of time in here. And what we see is that every journey, so when uh, Prometheus takes place, what we really see the bulk of the movie is in 2093. But they discovered the last cave drawing in the opening scene of Prometheus in 2089.
Okay.
So they find these cave drawings. It takes them 4 years to put together a crew, build a ship, and get to where they're going. So roughly, I think the idea was they actually launched in 2091. So it takes them 2 years to get incredibly far. So we're taking some liberties with science and one of the things that I love about really good science fiction sometimes is they don't explain the how behind the things they can do. They're just like, we can travel faster than light now. They're like, we could explain it to you, but that'd be half the movie. So they just do. But it takes them 2 years to get wherever they're going. Um, and then, Covenant is again, it takes place on a completely remote planet, somewhere completely different that we don't even know about. They go through all their stuff. Now, there's no reason to think that any information from either one of those two missions really got back to Earth. So because Wayland died and his mission was a secret and they didn't get anything out of it, this mission was essentially a failure.
Big time.
So they're gone. They're just written out as lost in space. You have Covenant. They go looking. They all die. So if they didn't get their message out in time in the right way, gone. So the experience with the aliens, we see the creation of the aliens there, or a creation of aliens in some way. But you can look at this as an origin story of sorts, but it's not the origin
It's a
for the
side story.
characters
Yeah.
we see. Yeah. Same universe, but not the same story. And so when we jump to Alien Earth, which is actually in between Covenant and
Alien.
Alien, there's only a 2 year difference between Alien Earth and Alien. And this actually works in the original Alien storyline because even if this thing crashes on Earth with an alien on board, with a xenomorph on board, the ship, the Nostromo, launched sometime before
This
that even
happens.
crashed on Earth. So the
Mhm.
communication just wouldn't be there.
Right.
And so they'd be out there salvaging, doing their thing. And so this also doesn't necessarily impact future storylines. In Alien, we have a pretty tight story. Takes
Mhm.
place over a very short period of time once they find their xenomorph, everybody gets infected, everything goes sideways. She launches it out. And then freezes herself. She goes back into cryosleep. We jump to Romulus, which leaves her in cryo. They leave her and her ship, or they're not even looking for it. They find the wreckage of the Nostromo. So at this point, Weyland Yutani knows about xenomorphs because whatever was sent back from the Nostromo or whatever happened on Earth,
Yeah.
because they actually go only for the xenomorph that's in space. They bring it in, they bring it back to whatever planet they were on to experiment on it. That's why we get the Remus and Romulus space station. That story goes to shit. The girl goes on the run. I think there's going to be a sequel to that.
There is.
Um,
Thank God.
and we definitely see some interesting things in that one as far as biology. We see, and I think is a really faithful nod to a terrible movie that is Alien Resurrection.
The child.
Um, yeah. So, have you seen Alien Resurrection?
I have.
Um, it is by far the worst of the Alien movies. Although I have seen a lot of people that are like, "Well, that was the first Alien movie I saw, so I kind of love it." Um,
I go back and forth. I mean, yes. I remember being a lot of people were highly disappointed by Alien 3.
oh
And I
yeah,
think
Alien
even
3 sucks
Sigourney
pretty bad too.
Weaver was like mad about that one in a
Yeah.
way. No, it was Michael Biehn who was really pissed. But at least Alien Resurrection tried, I think, to kind of like make it cool again and give the Ripley character, justice or whatever, even though we know it's, anyways. But yes, it was a bit more of a comedy, I think, in some parts. And I don't know. I don't hate Alien Resurrection.
I
I
think
don't.
Resurrection is a film of its time. Like it is very much a 90s action film, talking about cloning, talking about weird stuff, and that's where that comparison between Romulus comes in. So in Alien Resurrection, we're jumping 200 years into the future
Yes.
almost. And she dies in the end of Alien 3. And actually,
Yes.
so one thing I was watching Aliens, so the second Alien film. Solid movie, it definitely more of an action movie than the first Alien film. Um, and the one thing I remember, I was watching it and I was like, why did Michael Biehn not have a career when, uh, shit, what's his name went on? He just passed away not too long ago, but, fuck, the Marine that just, he's fucking yelling all the time.
Oh, Paxton.
Yes, Bill Paxton. Why did Bill Paxton get a career out of that movie? Probably some other stuff beforehand and afterwards. But how did he have a career and Michael Biehn didn't? Because Michael Biehn was very good in Aliens. And
Yes.
so, like, I Googled, I was like, what happened to Michael Biehn?
So what happened?
Well, number one, he became a little more of a family man, but I think that got driven by the fact that there was a rift between him and Cameron.
Well, that'll
Him
do.
and Cameron didn't get along. And so I think I would have to do further research on this and see if the rift was because he wasn't in Alien 3 or because he had a falling out with Cameron and then Cameron didn't put him in Alien 3 because of that.
Was
Because
Cameron involved with? I thought that was David. That was a David Fincher movie, Alien
it,
3.
it might have been, but I don't know
Yeah.
if Cameron produced it or not. So I don't know where
Yeah.
the fallout came. Um, but Bean's career was impacted by his bad relationship with Cameron.
Well, yeah. Well, that'll do it. I think it's really funny that both Paxton and Bean were both in Terminator and
Hmm.
Aliens. I gotta pause for a second though, because I definitely have sympathy for those who may not be joining in the conversation. Lauren, have you seen any Alien film in the franchise?
Negative.
Well, I will say this. I know that you've said, I think your dad in particular has made it a point to make sure that the children, you guys, were well versed in the 80s film. So you've seen a lot of classic 80s movies. And I have to say, 1986 Aliens is, I would say, a shining jewel of 80s pop culture. It's definitely, I mean, I'm just gonna say it, and maybe people will disagree, but no, I think that's the one. I mean, I think that's the one film that you need, the only one you need to see just to like have an idea of what the hell these things are is
Hmm.
Aliens. And I would say, and I'm not even pandering, I'm just keeping it real. Before strong female characters became like a thing, like in the last 10 years or so, Ripley, as in Sigourney Weaver, that character, I'm getting
Do you know
goosebumps just
why
talking
though?
about it. Go.
It was never written for a woman. The character was
Um,
written as a man, and then they cast Sigourney Weaver.
huh.
So Ripley was not supposed to be a woman.
But
Uh,
that's the first movie. But the second movie, though, she's already been
true,
established,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I think that you don't really. I think in the first movie, she's just more of like a survival person. But in the second movie, like she's like mama, like she's like
yes.
mama bears, like mama versus mama, and like she literally picks up a gun and like a machine gun, and she's just like, and it's like Rambet, like Rambo, Rambet, get it? Anyway, but then, and I think that's what you get in Romulus. I'm jumping around, but I feel
Mhm.
like Romulus brings back some of that energy. So anyway, that was my way of bringing you into the conversation. I do think that you should see this film. We can go back to geeking out for a second, Kevin, but I just had to like take a take a check in.
Yeah, and I
And
think
that's
good.
the second one, just to clarify. It looks like the first
Yes.
one came out in 79, third one came out
Yes.
in 92.
No, no. Yeah,
Third
third one
third one came out in
92,
92,
second one
86, I think.
86.
Yeah.
Yep, second one 86. So I should see the second one before the
Yes, and
first
that's the
one.
James Cameron one. And I'd say that what made James Cameron, I think, kind of like, sorry, Kevin, like, no, you don't like him because he's a bit of a dick, but like the shit is because he wrote
Hmm.
a Terminator and gave up his rights to the ownership of the franchise if he could direct it. So he did Terminator 84, huge hit, made a
Mhm.
career for Arnold, and then
Right.
did Aliens 2 years later. So it's just kind of like Cameron was on a roll. The guy was unstoppable for his
Right.
first two films.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
he's my only problem ever with Cameron is just like if you started with Terminator and you started with Aliens and you made Titanic, I don't think you get to tell people what peak cinema is and tell people that what they're creating isn't good enough because of what it is. Like
The Marvel
Terminator,
one?
especially when
Oh.
you look at where the franchise has gone,
Oh.
there's a bunch of dog shit in that franchise. So you can't tell me that franchise is brilliant.
But again, he doesn't have control. Like he literally, it's not his baby. He had
I
Terminator 2,
understand that, but
but then after that,
he's bagging on like superhero movies.
yeah,
And let me tell you who has a better franchise run than than
Cameron,
Terminator, than Alien, than anything Cameron's been involved in. Even if you include Avatar, I know Avatar's made a lot of money off of their films.
it's gonna keep going.
Yep.
He's gonna drive it into the ground.
You think so?
I absolutely think so because it's
Huh.
not a story that needs to continue being told.
Yeah, the second one was good, but now like knowing that the third one's coming out
Yes.
fall 2025, and then they already have a fourth one in the
Yeah,
making for I
yeah.
think 2026 or 2027. It's definitely,
I think those films are going to suffer from bloat. They keep getting longer, like they're 2.5, three
yeah,
hours
very
long.
long.
And I think he had a big advantage between the first and the second one, having as much time between those two as he did.
Sure.
Hmm.
Bringing them closer together, you have the same problem that you saw in Marvel once they started post Endgame, just cranking stuff out
Speed.
and putting stuff too close together. If you don't let it breathe, it's not gonna succeed. And I think we'll see that fall off eventually. It's just too much content. He could have had two great films, two huge successes, ended there and just have it been like a legacy. But I think the longer it goes, you're going to see that fall off. And I could be wrong. I could eat my words and be wrong. But I don't know that the story is going to resonate with people for as long as they try and run it.
I agree. It's
I
not
think this
something
third movie
that,
is gonna do good. Keep going. Sorry.
yeah, no, I mean did you guys see the second movie
Yeah.
for
And
Avatar?
I still
Okay.
haven't. I tried and I fell asleep like 3 times, so I
I
just can't.
I saw it in the theater. I think you have. I think Avatar is the kind of movie you see in the theater. I think if you don't see it in the theater, it's just like, why are you going? Like it's. I think the special effects, frankly, is like 75% of it. I mean,
Hmm.
that's being
Yeah,
real.
I agree. Well,
No.
I think the second one, what was it? Something of water. I'm
The
trying to
Way of the
remember.
Water.
Way of the Water was more of just post him making the decision of going full Avatar and then building a family. And
Right.
it's, done beautifully and they go to another, I guess, distant
Yes.
land. But I mean, it's tragic at the end when like one of the family members dies, right? But I sort of agree with Kevin. What more do we need to do at this point?
So my
Or
whole thing
can
is
be
like
done?
this though. We're so spiraling, but like not spiraling, but the tangenting. For me, the big plot point, Kevin, you don't care about spoilers, right?
No, no.
Okay, is like why it's about family, right? So
It's a Fast
basically,
and the Furious
Monkey
movie.
or no, Spider is his name. I think his name is Spider. Spider should have let his quote unquote dad die underwater.
Oh, Stephen Lang's character.
Yes, like so the fact that he went back and saved him, like what the fuck?
I
Like
agree.
that's the
Knowing
reason
he's a bad
why.
person.
Yes, but that's the reason why we have a third movie, you know?
Yeah.
Like and when and Spider already has like he's not one of them, right? So he's kind of like having to like navigate that. You just made it
Internal
worse for you.
dilemma.
But
Yeah.
it's like, but the thing is, his even though he's a bad guy, like his dad really did show him love. Like he did was like, even though he said I don't give a fuck about you, clearly he did, and that's why I think Spider felt that tug. Like, what do I do? And he saved them. And I'm just sitting there in the theater like, motherfucker. You know, so it's just like so now it's like now I feel like now I want to see what happens. Like what is the consequences? Just like Hawk Girl dropping the president. Like I want to see
Yeah.
what the payoff is for making such a fucked up decision. But I get it because it's family. And I think that's a few relatable thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting. Like I think funny enough, we put it in the chat too. I know that um the second Avatar movie was a blockbuster in a time that we actually aren't having blockbusters really anymore. And I
yes.
put these stats in our chat, but it's really interesting because of course there's so much discourse between the Superman films right now. All of the Snyder Bros are like, "Yeah, this one sucks because it didn't make as much money and blah blah blah." And then you people are like, "Well, you got to look at inflation. It made so much more with inflation." Yeah, but okay, so let's also look at the sub numbers there too, because there were almost twice as many people per day going to the movies in 2013 as there are now in 2024 and 2025.
Can I say
So,
something? Or do
yes.
you know, finish your thought though, because I
No,
want to say
I'm
something.
just saying, like, if we have less people going to the movies, so we a fewer percent of people just going to the movies at all, right? And this movie still financially after inflation and all that came pretty close to Man of Steel. If those numbers were higher for people that were going to the theater, because
Hmm.
now we live in an era where people are just waiting for it to go to streaming.
Right.
If we still had that number of people going to the theater, it would have made more money.
So that has been my argument since even before the pandemic, and I just think this is where the misanthropic Andrew comes in. So I remember back in like everyone was like, "Oh, Gone with the Wind, that's the real number one movie," or "Oh, what about inflation? Blah, 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 inflation," you know. And I would say even before the pandemic, look, before like home video and before the 90s and even 2000s, if you go back to the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s people were going to movies more even then compared to like the 90s because that was the only place to see a fucking movie. So
Hmm.
I don't want to hear this inflation bullshit because it's literally different times, baby,
Yeah.
different challenges, you know? And it's only now that people
It
are
was
getting it.
also a social gathering and a reason for people to
Yeah.
get
Yep. Yep.
together.
It's just so it's the fairest way is just to look at the box office numbers. Period. That's the fairest way to do it. You know,
Yeah.
there's it's the advantages and disadvantages. But I just feel like now, like the general zeitgeist is catching up with what I've always known. So I've just learned to shut the fuck up and let the people figure it out on their
Yeah.
own. But I completely agree with you, and I completely agree, period. Like, yes, it is harder to sell movie tickets now than it was even 10 years ago. So shut the fuck up about inflation and and give people credit for getting people to come out and see a damn movie.
And I think the 80s and 90s especially, they had it right. They would put a movie in the theater and you were not getting it at home for
Oh
like six
yeah,
months. Like
yeah.
if you care about this
Yeah.
movie, you will go
You
see it in the
better
theater
go
or you will fucking wait. And then you watch it on your grainy ass
and be
VHS
spoiled.
tape and it will suck. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And so like now Superman came out how long ago?
June 11th.
June
No,
Yeah.
July
11th.
11th. July
Yeah,
11th,
July.
and it's
I bought it
already coming
yesterday. I
out.
bought it yesterday.
There you
Now
go.
the reason that Gunn gave for this, and I think it's probably okay, is that there's some things in there that lead into Peacemaker, and Peacemaker comes out
Okay, that makes sense.
soon. And so that was their reasoning for releasing it a little earlier than maybe they would have elsewhere. But at the same time, like if you look at the box office numbers, they were on a rate of decline, an actually really nice rate of decline. Like when they were falling off every week, it
It was
was
like
better
50%,
than normal fall off. So
usually
they were keeping
80%.
audience pretty well,
Hmm.
percentage wise. But at the same time, like people are going to stop seeing that movie in the
Yeah.
theater. So move on, put it on streaming, get more money from it while people are still buzzing about it, I think. And I think they have a disadvantage over Marvel right now where Disney Plus owns all of the Marvel stuff. So you know that you don't have to buy a Marvel film because you just wait just a little longer, it's going to be on Disney Plus, you know? Whereas I know HBO is Warner and DC and all that, so it'll end up there eventually. But there's no like sort of stated timeline for these things like there is with Disney Plus. And so I think there's an urgency to buy it if you want to enjoy it at home that you don't have with Marvel.
So I guess if you had to rank, because I know we've been talking about Alien for a while and I could
Mhm.
keep talking, but I know we should probably move on at some point. But like, if you had to rank the Alien films, how would you rank them?
Uh, so if I take Alien Earth out of it, just for now, I would say I think I go back and forth on this because Alien, the first Alien movie is from a completely different time in filmmaking, right? This came out when things like, yeah, Star Wars was out, but even Star Wars compared to movies now is sort of a slow burn, right? Like, so when you make the recommendation for somebody to watch Aliens, Aliens is an action movie. So the story moves a lot faster. When you watch Alien, real drama doesn't happen for almost halfway into the film. Like a lot of personal drama and setup and things like that happen, but we don't see the xenomorph for almost an hour in a 2 hour film. So like half of the film is set up and acknowledgement and all this, but it's a different time. Like if you look at 2001,
Oh
A
God.
Space Odyssey, I mean, 90% of that film is set up, right? Like it, it's just it's a different era, but I do think Alien is the best film of the films.
Which one?
The first one
Okay.
of the actual Alien films. I would put I would for me. I don't know if it's because it's so new. I might do Romulus before Aliens.
Okay.
I go back and forth on that. But then Alien 3 is a garbage film.
See,
Reservoir.
I wouldn't call it
Oh,
garbage,
I mean, it's
garbage.
preposterous in every possible way. She
Continue.
like how so her ship manages to eject just her part of the ship, and it happens to crash into a planet that happens to be populated by Weyland-Yutani people, that happens to be a prison. Like it's just like it's like you're trying to extend the franchise, and you're just making up ideas and throwing shit at a wall, and just being like, okay, we're gonna do that thing. It's ridiculous. Like
Huh.
it's actually ridiculous. Like when you think about the things that happen to make that possible, it's ridiculous. Like for aliens, for them to go find her in space in her little ship 50 years later, like they didn't even go looking for her. Somebody else found her and they had to claim her from them, right? It was a salvage ship that managed to come across her. Impossible. Impossible to do. Space is so fucking big. It's impossible. So like it's like if you threw a paper boat into the ocean
Yeah.
and then somebody was like, "Hey,
Somebody
I
found
found your
it.
boat."
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. So, like, even aliens is a little bit of a stretch, right? But you kind of give that because maybe somebody saw something about there was an explosion here. We go find it, but just the space in space, like we talked about Did we talk about it last week?
Yeah,
How
the distance between
just the
yeah.
Earth and the Moon, you can put every
You
planet
basically
on.
all the yeah.
Yeah,
So Wayland Yutani though I think is the Wayland Yutani is this gigantic mega corporation that owns everything, right? So
but they
I think
don't. Like
that's
we think they do, but they don't even own everything. Well, we're finding out
well
from Alien Earth.
according to Alien Earth, yeah. No,
Yeah,
I watched this to be fair YouTube clip that explains who Wayland Yutani is and everything, and even the Yutani piece of course comes in because of Wayland's death.
but yeah,
Um,
he's it's not because of his. Oh no, he has died. I'm sorry,
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
he's not there. So Utani's in
Yeah.
charge now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So basically, it's like what I would say is, so it sounds like to me like you're basically saying Alien, then possibly Romulus, possibly then Aliens, then Alien 3, and then Resurrection.
No, no, I would
Wait,
put Prometheus and Covenant before three and Resurrection.
got it. Okay, fair, fair, fair. And
Um,
crap, my phone. Okay, so what I would say for right now is for me, yes, I'm going Aliens because
that,
like that's just a shit. Then probably Alien, then Romulus. Then Alien 3. Sorry. Then Alien that then okay, Alien 3. Then I will say I should probably rewatch Prometheus and Covenant before I throw Resurrection back up there. Um but I think right now Alien Earth is off to a great start. One thing I just have to say really quick is I loved how this boy genius guy, whatever, who I totally think like Timothy Chalamet could have played. He
oh,
gives
he's
me
very
everything.
Chalamet-esque for
He's
sure.
like he's basically ugly Chalamet. Like that's what he is. Like that's what he is, right? But when he's talking to someone and she's like, oh, so you basically like make consumers out of them, and he's like, it's never about the money. It's not about the money. The reason why trillionaires are into this is because we wanna meet someone who's actually smarter than us. That's what it's about. I want to not be bored by people. That's what drives their ambition. And I was like, that is a very douchey thing to say, but I sort of get it. No, no, but seriously, it's like, and to me, what I was talking to someone about this, and I was talking to how no matter how big someone gets, it's crazy to me how emotion at the end of the day is what drives everybody. It's like no matter what, you got to find that crack, find that weakness, find that thing that they want. And this kid, this fucking snotty kid is just so unfortunately smart, I guess, in that kind of way that he just finds everyone boring and he's arrogant.
Hmm.
And I think that will be his undoing, just like it was Peter Wayland. So
Sure.
I just thought that was interesting. But I do like again, everyone's acting really well. And it's only 2 episodes in, but I think so far this Noah Hawley guy has a great track record.
Hmm.
And I think that Alien has had a bit of a checkered past as far as quality, as we talked about. But I think now it's finally found its footing the same way that the Predator franchise is finding its footing. So I call that a success.
Yeah, I'll tell you this too. Like if you look at IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, definitely the last two Alien films are the worst in the franchise, just based on ratings. They are incredibly low,
Okay.
incredibly low. Um, and I get it. I think both of them were cash grabs in a way. I feel like maybe Resurrection was a an attempt to bring the franchise back because it had drifted a little bit. I mean, it'd only been, I guess, 5 years since Alien 3. Because that was 97, Alien 3 was
Sigourney was
92.
never in better shape either. She was buff in that movie.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I'll always have a soft spot for Winona Ryder. So the
Hmm.
fact that she was in the movie too was like, for me, yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I was watching it and I didn't know where it was going to go in the story. Because I had never seen Resurrection. So this was 100% my first time.
Oh wow.
And part of me
Okay.
was like, well, are they writing her in to be the next Ripley and move the franchise forward?
Right.
You know, which they didn't really do. She ended up being an android and all that. But it was funny to me too. Like all of a sudden, they were able to use the term droid in was it the third one or was it the fourth one? But they started using that term, which was
Star Wars.
copywritten by Lucas
Yeah.
to the point where the remember when the Google phone started coming out, they made their first phone was the Droid, and they had to pay Lucas to be able to use that term.
No
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
Droid.
Yep. Yeah, they paid for that. They paid a lot of money for that to be able to do that. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting franchise for sure. And you can see the decline of like the quality. It's like when you talk about even Marvel, like if somebody takes their hands off of something, if they're like the guy, the person,
Yes.
and they take their hands off and they hand it off, you can see as it passes, it's like the game of telephone. Like the story kind of
Yes.
just dwindles and goes crazy. And but oh, the one last thing I'll say because I was talking about it before we tangented is when you see her give birth in Romulus
Oh my God.
to the thing, the okay, so the death of the
Developer
monster,
said,
the
sorry,
death of the monster in Resurrection, the
sadder.
final one is actually like sad. Like this thing
Yes.
is like it's a killer,
Yes.
like it still wants to kill people. But they did a
Yes.
great job designing this thing because it has the saddest fucking eyes. It has puppy dog eyes that are so sad. And when it's dying, for as corny as it is, for as corny as the film has been up until that point,
Thank you.
she does a great job with the mixed emotions. Like
Yes.
it it was actually like one of the saddest moments in the entire franchise. I was actually
Thank you.
shocked that this movie that was really not that great for a lot
Right.
of it, which
Hmm.
much like you said with whatever it was, there's a ton of like stars in Resurrection.
Oh, Sunshine. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. There's like Ron Perlman, Winona Ryder. There's somebody else, there's Sigourney Weaver. Uh, the black dude went on to do a couple of things too, and I can't remember what.
Now I gotta look because actually what I remember was I think there was somebody who played like someone's dad. I think it was the guy who was in oh my God, the movie Clueless. Yeah, I think it was her dad's in there too. One
Hmm.
second. Hold on. Yeah, Dan Hedaya, he's in there.
Hmm.
Michael Wincott, I think is who you're thinking of. No, Michael Wincott's in there. Like everyone's in this movie.
Yeah,
You're
like
right.
there's a ton of people in it. I was as I was watching, I was like, this is actually maybe the biggest like cast, but it feels like that because they're more of our generation too. I think when you watch the first Alien, like those actors were bigger
Dude,
than.
Joss Whedon wrote this.
Yes, I saw that today. I saw something about
Okay.
that today, and you can see some of that. It's definitely a young Whedon. This is pre Firefly, but you can actually see
Dude, it
the
made money.
bits.
Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
Go ahead.
70 million was the budget for Resurrection. It made 161 million. That's,
That's not
that's
bad.
respectable.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see what other movies did. Like, what did Independence Day do? Because that was roughly around the same time.
Oh, it kicked ass, I'm sure. Let me look. Hold
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Keep
Well,
talking. Let me look.
when we talk
Yeah.
about like blockbuster versus blockbuster, I
Oh,
wonder.
right. Yeah, yeah. Like, yeah. I don't think, I mean, to be fair, it's also an R-rated movie, right? So it's like R-rated
True,
movies
true.
shouldn't be expected to make the same amount of money.
That was the other thing that was problematic with Alien 3.
Oh,
I had two problem.
seven. Sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead. You go
75
first.
million for Independence Day, 817 million. Independence Day rocked the house. All
Yeah.
right, sorry, keep going.
Yeah. So there was two problematic things with Alien 3, and then we can stop talking about this because it's been forever.
Thank you, Lauren.
So number one, brutal death of a dog. Go fuck yourself. You killed a dog. You guys are dicks. It was super brutal. Number two, and this is the thing that I thought was really like sort of pushing the envelope here. Before they go to do the autopsy on the little girl,
Mhm.
the blanket is pulled down. So you have a naked little girl on a bed.
I don't remember that part. Okay.
Yeah, I was
Mm,
like,
that's problematic.
yeah, I was like, how did they get away
Get
with
away
that? I
with
know,
that.
I know it's not a real person, right? So like, it's a
A doll
fake
or
body,
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
something. But I was like, that's not
Oh, Newt.
okay.
That's what you're talking
Newt,
about.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they
All
killed her
right.
for no good fucking reason
They
too.
killed all of them for no good reason. It's like it literally made the end of Aliens whack. It was like,
Yeah,
really, dude? They went through all that shit
yeah,
just
she
to
saved a
be
whole
killed
family. She's got a
off
family. Like
screen.
she's gonna go off and be happy. And then they're like, we're gonna make this third movie, and we're just gonna fuck her up.
Yeah, and they did. And then she's bald and shit. Anyway, the budget was 50 million, 50, 60 million, and then it was 180 million, 150, 160, 180. So it made money. But I remember back in 92 as a freshman, I remember this like clearly. And everyone was like, man, this movie sucks. Like Alien 3 sucks. It's such bullshit. But I think it's cool at least that Bishop I think that was a cool twist. Seeing that
That
the real Bishop was like this
was a
fucking
real person.
asshole.
Yeah, I think I actually thinking about my order, I might put Alien 3 last and Resurrection before Alien 3.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
I'm okay
yeah,
with that.
yeah. So
All right. The boy talk is over.
yes, let's switch gears big time. But staying current. Lauren, you saw, and I so curious about this. You saw The Naked Gun
Yeah, I
with Liam
did.
Neeson.
I saw it on Wednesday with some girls in my neighborhood for our movie night, discount movie night, and I had seen, I think just the first one, and of course Airplane I saw since that's a classic. This is meant to be a prequel, and Liam Neeson plays Frank Dreben Jr., who is the son of Leslie Nielsen's Frank Dreben in the original movies that started in the 80s, I believe, right?
Hmm.
And again, he's also a police officer and he's investigating similar comedy in terms of just like goofy, not the type of comedy that you're seeing now in the 2000s, but you probably have seen this from the previews where there's like a bank robbery going on and this little like Girl Scout goes in and then she takes like this zipper and then it ends up being Liam Neeson. Sorry, Liam Neeson, and he is undercover. And then while this is all going on, he's able to get what he needs to get done in order to seek justice. And then the next day, him and his partner find a car that goes into a lake, river, some form of body of water, and they discover it's this software engineer for this company, and this guy's now dead. And they try to figure out how this guy died. They assume it's suicide, and they find this like matchbook like at the scene of the crime. And as he goes back to the precinct, Pamela Anderson shows up and she plays the sister of the guy who had mysteriously passed away in the car crash, and she's like, I don't think it was suicide. I think someone was after him, and she gives her insight on it. And she is a novelist who writes crime dramas, etc. And he ends up connecting with the tech employer of the guy who died and goes to his nightclub and realizes the same insignia that's on like the matchbook that was at the scene of the crime is in the nightclub. So he's connecting. He's like, this is a bad person who owns this tech company. So he tries to track this guy down. And yeah, I mean, it's this very like typical, follows very similar cadence to the other Naked Gun type of movies. You have the attractive female, Pamela Anderson, which I'm so happy she's making a comeback in Hollywood. She deserves it. Yeah, it was funny. I liked it. I didn't, laugh at everything. Like I noticed they were like, when you go to a theater and there's like someone that is like laughing their head off at like everything. We had someone like that in the theater where it was a bit distracting, where it's like, all right, I don't know. Like it's funny, but this guy would go on and on and on every time there was. Like, I feel like every 2 or 3 minutes there was another one of those. There's like a very weird scene where, uh, and I feel like this is very typical, where Pamela Anderson and Liam Neeson go on like a getaway to like a cabin during the winter, and they end up having a threesome with the snowman, which is like hysterical, and the snowman tries to then kill Liam Neeson's character. It's bizarre. It's very bizarre. The whole movie is just like, I mean, a lot of it is bizarre, but it's typical like comedy that is in line with like the past films. But yeah, and then the crime is solved. At one point, he gets kicked off the squad because what he's doing is crossing the line. Shocker. that he's crossing the line. And then Pamela Anderson and him, try to figure this out together because she obviously wants to know what happened to her brother. And Frank Dreben Jr. is, trying to close the case as per usual, or at least in the past films, what his father did. And he tries to make him proud. And at the beginning of the film, they actually show this in the previews where he's like talking to his dad, and they have like the picture on the wall in the um it's almost like a Hall of Fame situation of people that have worked there in the past. For the LAP, I guess it was also in LA, right? The original movies.
Hmm.
Yeah, so like for the LAPD, so they show his picture and then all these other guys are like crying, talking to their dads. And I forgot the black guy's name, but like they show his father's picture and he's like, nah.
Yeah, because it's O.J. Simpson, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think it's in one of the trailers.
Which is hysterical. But yeah, very funny.
So let me ask you, because Leslie Nielsen is one
Yes,
of the
Leslie Nielsen.
greatest deadpan comedian actors I have ever seen in my life. And he started
100%.
his career as a dramatic actor. He was actually did drama for
Really?
a long time.
Okay.
And then I don't know what came first, but he did a show called Police Squad for a little while that was kind of what led to Naked Gun. Like it was a
Hmm.
ridiculous like police comedy show. Obviously Airplane was a big part of his career. But really like maybe the very best deadpan comedic actor I have ever seen. And so Liam Neeson, I feel like this was a joke for a long time. Liam Neeson's name is so close to Leslie Nielsen's name.
Yes.
Somebody, I think, before this movie ever got made, I think I
Nice.
really saw somebody saying, wouldn't it be funny if they made a Naked Gun movie with Liam Neeson and then it
That's
happened?
amazing.
Like, I feel like somebody had the idea and somebody was like, fuck it, let's just do it. But, like, how does Leslie Nielsen do, or sorry, Liam Neeson, how does he do in this film with that type of comedy?
Well, it's funny because I was telling the girls that I was sitting with, I was like, this is Oscar Schindler. Like seeing Oscar
Yes.
Schindler
Yeah.
play this,
Right.
it's wild to me. And I feel like every other film that I've seen him in is more serious, but I
Hmm.
thought he did a good job. And like his chemistry with Pamela Anderson was convincing enough where I'm like, okay, like if
Well,
someone
clearly.
said,
Yeah.
yeah, but if someone said to me, Liam Neeson is
Yes.
gonna be with Pam Anderson
No
like a
way.
year or two ago, I'd be,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
exactly. No way. But they make it work. And I think there's just like this new found humility, I think, towards Pamela Anderson within like there's definitely like a movement for sure. People are like, justice for Pam, justice for Pam, just based on all of the trolling that people have seen and has been done, unfortunately, over the past couple years with, her making the conscious decision of
aging.
aging gracefully in her own way instead of, and I think she did mention she did have work done in the past, but she's like, I'm
Hmm.
done with that, moving on. And she looks beautiful in this movie. So, whatever. She was in the Showgirls movie, which I reviewed a couple months ago, that she was nominated for a Golden Globe for. She did great in that. So I'm happy to see she's making a comeback. And I know and I do want to watch at some point on Netflix, there's a documentary on Pamela Anderson. So
Hmm.
I'm glad she's coming back and doing films and she's getting back into her movie groove. So kudos to her. But yeah, at first I was like, that's a weird dynamic, but they did a good job. They were definitely a convincing cute couple. And Frank Dreben Jr. in this movie had recently, like, or at least within the past few years, lost his wife. So finding love again was another piece of it. And with Pamela Anderson, of course, they make jokes of just like she's the hot woman in the room, etc. And just yeah, just super funny with scenes with her. There's one part where they're in the club and Frank Dreben's with, I think her character's name is Beth. Yeah, Beth Davenport. And they're at the club and then the rich tech mogul whose club is there and Frank Dreben's like, I'm gonna go check like the footage on the camera to see if your brother was in this club. So he's like, he goes up to this guy who looks like he could be like one of the largest bouncers you ever seen. And Frank Dreben Jr. totally kicks his ass, being like a fraction of the size of this massive bouncer just to get into the camera room to find footage of surveillance in the place. And he's like, go distract the tech mogul. So she starts singing on stage, and she is horrible, just absolutely horrible, singing just her voice is bad, just she's singing absolute nonsense, and he is, and everyone in the audience is like, when's this shit gonna be done with? And of course, this guy's like head over heels for Pamela Anderson. He's like, she's so good, she's so talented. As this is all going on, and of course, it's like just very much so in this humor. This guy's not, there's no way Frank Dreben's character is gonna actually beat the shit out of this bouncer guy, and he does. And then he goes into the surveillance room, which is with two other guys at the desk, and yet he somehow is able to get ahead of this footage and trick these guys to stepping away from the desk. Very like unbelievable stuff, sort of like Airplane and the original Naked Gun. But yeah, a lot of it's funny. It's a lot of it's just like a play on words too
Yeah,
of what
for
they
sure.
do. Like the Don't Call Me Shirley,
Hmm.
things
Yeah.
like a lot of that type of stuff in this. I can't think of an example now, but just throughout the film, I was like, that's such an Airplane type of thing that they just said.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked a little bit about before we actually started recording, maybe even before Andrew jumped on, but like humor is very, very different than
Totally.
now than it was when Airplane and Naked Gun came out.
Yeah,
It's just like it almost seems like we're at a point where it would be a great time to reboot comedy like that.
right.
But the trick is, I think to do it, you have to be able to target probably the millennial generation, right? Like they would be your
Yeah,
target audience, so you would have to change some of that humor to match that, I think.
sure.
Um, but that level of slapstick is just it's unheard of right now. So if you could do it right and bring it back, it could be hilarious. Because like Airplane is one of the most quotable movies like possible.
100%.
I think of what's her name from which TV mom was it? But stewardess, I speak jive. And then she sits down and
Oh,
starts, and I'm just like, holy shit! Like, and it's just, I mean, it's funny. It's definitely like comedy of the times, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
if you didn't
Yes.
live in that era, like
so many.
half of Airplane is almost impossible to understand.
Oh,
Like,
like, oh, perfect example. Like, an Airplane where she's the autopilot,
yeah,
like, blow up. There's a similar scene in this movie where the guy who's spying, like, from the tech CEOs, like, one of his men is spying on Frank Drebin Jr., and they close the shades down, and he's just like squirting, like he's cooking, right? And the actual silhouette looks like she's giving him a blowjob. And then they bring like a dog into the picture, and it looks like he's fucking the dog, and just, like little things like that. But then you would see like what they're actually doing, and then she's sitting on a chair, and he's like crouched down in a weird way, and he's like helping her with something, but it looks like he's going down on her. It's like very funny. So that type of stuff, it keeps in that theme like of
that actually makes me think of
trickery sort of thing.
the
Yeah.
last film that was like this that I can think of is the Austin Powers franchise.
A little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
definitely in the same lane.
But that one's of its time also. Like
Sure.
you can't really watch Austin Powers now and find it as funny as you did when it came out. Like I
Yeah,
watched, what did I watch with my kids? I watched So I Married an Axe Murderer with my kids. And I was like, that's really interesting to watch because a lot of it is funny because it's Mike Myers doing it. And if you don't have that back history with Mike Myers, it's
you're not
not
gonna
as
find it funny.
funny. And so,
Yeah,
there's definitely a need to be a part of whatever generation that story is. Because, like I said, when you look at Airplane, so many of those gags were hilarious, and they're still funny to me because I understand the reference. But like, what is
right.
it? The who are the guys in the airport passing out flowers that you don't see in airports anymore? But they religious group.
Jehovah's Witness
Oh,
or
Hare
No,
Krishnas.
Hare Krishnas, yeah.
um
You don't really see that anymore, but that was actually a big deal back then. So that whole gag was a play on,
the
how prominent they
times.
were at the time,
Yeah,
and it doesn't land now. So,
right.
um,
Well, it's
you know,
sort of
it-
like the early SNL, like first
sure,
season. I watched it with my dad. I'm like, this isn't funny. And he's like, yeah, it's more of the times. And then
yeah,
we'll watch SNL sometimes, like if I come home, and there's certain skits that really resonate with me, maybe because I watch a show or it's very in line with the times. My dad's like, I don't get it. It's not that
hmm
funny.
yeah,
So I think that makes a lot of sense. When I think of like early 2000s comedy, I think of Judd Apatow stuff, which I
hmm
think there's definitely some hits, and then there's a lot of, I'm just gonna call it like marijuana humor. Like they had this one, you guys saw Pineapple Express?
yeah,
I think
a
that's
long time ago, yeah,
it's the dumbest movie I've ever seen, but yet some people think it's the funniest thing ever. And
hmm
it's very Judd Apatow-esque, where it's like just a bunch of guys making dumb decisions that are high, or like, I don't know. There's certain films where I'm like, all right, he did a good job, and there's some that I just don't see any humor in it
yeah,
at all. But that's more, I think, in line with like more recent comedy
hmm
type of films.
yeah.
So,
So
but yeah,
I do think that comedy, especially if it relies on um, modern times, and comedy often does, the
right.
comedy actually ages worse than drama in a lot of cases because
Totally.
drama, can be a period piece. It can be something that's outside of time and it works. Sci-fi is like that. Like for the most part, sci-fi, because it usually takes place in the future,
Yeah.
you're okay to just watch it whenever because it doesn't rely on you understanding the times. They set up their universe first and then tell you their story.
Yeah.
Whereas comedy, you're like, oh, Ronald Reagan was president, so you better understand this joke about Ronald Reagan. And you're like,
Exactly.
I don't know. So,
Exactly.
all right, cool. I'm definitely curious about it. I think I will catch this when it streams,
Yeah.
for
I
sure.
think you'll like it.
I'm so curious about it because I really actually loved the original Naked Gun film.
Yeah.
Like I said, Leslie Nielsen was so talented. And it's such a specific talent. Like you can't just go and be that kind of comedian. You can't just pop out that kind of humor because he's so deadpan. Like his ability to seriously say these ridiculous things is unbelievable. So like I've
Right.
really got to see how they play this other, basically version of the character. I know it's his son, but I mean they're trying to keep it pretty close to the original from what
Oh,
I saw in the trailers. So
100%. And everyone that I know saw it, laughed, and said it was good.
that's
Like
good.
I've yet to hear someone say I didn't like it. It's definitely like a good nod to what they've done in the past. I don't know if they're going to continue with Frank Dreben Jr., perhaps, who knows. But yeah, I thought it was a nice sequel to the franchise from, when was the last one done? In the 90s?
33 and a third. Yeah, it had to be in the 90s.
Yeah.
Because yeah, so yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah. So it was, yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good. Very short too. Very short movie. I think it
Okay.
was an hour and 25 minutes.
All right. Which is
So
good. I think you can
for
easily overdo it.
comedies,
Yeah, you can overdo it with a movie like that. So,
for sure.
uh, all right, cool. Well, then moving on and talking about people that laughed in the theater. Andrew, you saw Weapons today?
I did see weapons today.
Okay, before we talk about this review, did people laugh at that last scene? Did you?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I will say it was a more sparse theater. So it wasn't like straight up like,
Sure, sure.
but no, there were several scenes they laughed at. And I think it was because of just how off the wall it was.
hmm So, okay. So I talked about it last week. I think it's been out for 2 weeks, so we can be a little more spoilery this time if you want to talk about it. But just like, what was your take on the whole thing?
Yeah, I would just call it original. I think that the film for me was original. I'm not gonna lie. I think I was hyped up by it, so it wasn't like it didn't blow me away, but at the same time, I walked away satisfied. I
hmm
walked away feeling like I'd seen something I hadn't seen before, hence the term original. And hence, like, I think horror, it has been having a moment since, I mean, shoot, for a while now, but certainly since the summer of 2022. And I think that's where we're going to see some original stuff. I think everyone delivered great. Oh, by the way, weapons. The first thing I thought of was, are you still of the opinion that the title didn't have anything to do with the movie? Because I totally see how it connects.
I know that it comes up like Josh Brolin's character says it, literally says it during the movie. He talks about he says they're weapons.
Yeah, like
Um,
it's like the whole movie is like
she's using people as
yeah,
weapons. Yeah,
they're weapons. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So I got that. I also just really quickly, like, I love how they Naruto run. I
hmm
totally see that as Naruto running. Lauren, have you seen the film or are you planning on seeing it?
It might be a little too scary for my liking.
Yeah,
Based on
yeah,
the
I would say you can pass. So as I was watching the film, I definitely said to myself, I found myself saying in my seat, it's only a movie, it's only a movie, it's only a movie, because there are some definite freaky jump scares going on. I will say, yeah, this is a movie also where the less you know, the better, right?
for
So
sure.
I even saw something about, oh, is there going to be an origin story for somebody, right? And I saw a picture of that person. So when I start seeing flashes of that person, I already wasn't as freaked out as I think I would have been had I never seen that image before, right?
Right.
Because even the striking image of the villain is like, if I saw that person in real life, I'm sorry, no. Like so as a kid growing up, I used to be like, you can't judge a book by its cover. No, no, other way around. I was like, you can judge a book by its cover, right? Then by college age, I'm like, no, Andrew, don't discriminate. Don't judge people by their color. And then by the time I was like in my like late 20s, early 30s, I'm INFP full on, and I'm like, oh, difference is good. I want to investigate. If you're weird, that means you're interesting. And now I'm back to, no, dude, if you're weird,
You're
you're
just
off.
weird.
And I'm good. Like, like, And this character is definitely an character.
hmm
Um, Josh Brolin did a great job, although I will say, like, by the end, I definitely think what's his name would have killed it. I
Pedro.
do think Pedro would have killed his role. He would have murdered it. But Josh did good. Um, I want to see more of Julia Garner. I love her. I mean, she was
hmm
amazing as Ruth, and I think that she would have killed it, the Madonna movie, but that got canceled. So let's give her some more stuff to chew on.
Yeah.
Her character was like, yo, like if you want to see an example of someone with zero boundaries, that's her, and that's her problem. She was a big old feeler, right? But I think whatever. Now, Michael or Brian Tyree,
Brian Tyree
people
Henry.
Yes, he was supposed to be who Wong played. I think he would have been great in that role too.
Yeah.
But I do like that Wong was I mean, it all worked out. I think the casting switches worked out. But yeah, dude, like the last like parts of the movie, dude, it was just such sweet justice. I mean,
Yes.
we're not gonna, it was just like I was smiling. I was giddy and I was just like this. Now I get why people are laughing and it is definitely different. But I was just like, yes, I
Because it's
love the fact
such a
that this kid,
fucking dark thing to laugh at, right? Like it is on
and
multiple
she's
levels as messed
running.
up,
Sorry.
but it's so funny.
Yeah. So no, I think this is two for two. Homie Zach Krager, you're two for two, baby. Like you did Barbarian and you did this, and they are both hits.
Yeah.
So
I'm
I'm really impressed.
I'm really excited to see his Resident Evil movie because he is setting it. So he's kind of setting the original movies off to the side, the ones with Mila Jovovich. He's going to build them more in the video game universe, but he's also said, which I like, he's like, look, if you want to see those stories, go play the video games because their stories are perfect. He's going to set it in the universe, new characters. So I'm really curious to see what he does with that because it's a cool franchise for sure. Um, but to not be tied down by the characters, I think gives him a lot of freedom, and that'll be super interesting. And then he's talking about doing a prequel movie possibly for that character,
Correct.
which is very much like Pennywise vibes, right? Like just creepy clown looking, terrifying shit.
And the best part, and this is a credit to both him and the actor who played the role, was I don't know if you read about this. He said, I'm going to give you two options. don't tell me what you choose for the backstory. One backstory is you are a normal human, but you've learned to, use magic. The other backstory is you are absolutely not human, but you know how to pretend to be a human. Don't tell me what you're gonna do, but that's your motivation. Pick one and run with it. So that to me is crazy. So I think they're gonna have to align on what her backstory is. And to be fair, honestly, I
Well,
don't know. Like I
and
could,
but they kind of don't because she's not going to be the one playing the character, I don't think,
oh, right.
if
Yeah,
they do
she said she would
backstory.
be able to come back, but to be fair, you're right. Unless they, depends how far they go back,
Yeah, it's true. It's
But,
true.
um, but I gotta say as well, the tweaker, like
He's the
he,
only person from the original cast. He's the only
okay,
person
but
in the
he
whole film
killed,
from
but
the
he
original
killed it.
cast.
I
Yeah.
also I've seen people act like that, and it was just like, man,
Yes.
you nailed
Yes.
that. And Alden,
Aaron Reich.
Aaron Reich, he played his role very. He's a good actor because
Yeah.
he plays a different. Yes, he was kind of awkward or whatever, but he still was a very different guy. And I love how I felt his rage, dude. Like when he straight up said, "Do you have anything in your pocket that is going to jab me?" And he's like, "No. Are you sure?" Yes. And he gets jabbed. He's like he's like so mad because yeah, it's a drug
Yeah.
addict. Who knows what you have?
Yeah.
Oh, and it's just
And
like,
then he's
oh
like, "Do you have
God,
hepatitis?" And the guy's like,
like do you have AIDS?
I don't
Like,
know. It's like he's
and
like,
that's
"What?"
mad comforting, right?
Yeah,
But yeah, no, like so I wanted to shout him out really quick too. I mean, both of them are great. Um, yeah, no, it was a solid original film. And I remembered another a movie that I saw in the previews, but I'll wait till later, but that I want to mention because that one I also want to see really bad, one of the new ones. So I think we're eating pretty good in the movies right now.
for sure. For sure. I think, um, and financially, I think this movie's done really well. I don't think the budget was
Yes,
particularly
38
high.
million budget, 120 million so far.
That's good. That's really good. And I think this is, we've talked about it before. I think this movie was marketed well. I
Yeah.
think they showed enough of the weird stuff in the trailers without giving anything away to make it look interesting.
I learned about it through Facebook scrolling, doom scrolling to be honest. And what it was the video would just show the face of Wong
Yep.
all messed
Yep.
up. And that's all I needed to see. I was already
Oh,
in. I'm
and
like,
that the setup for that scene was probably the most heartbreaking scene in the movie to me.
mm.
I was like, oof. I was like, that's messed up. Like even my son was like, yeah, that's rough, dude. And you're just like, damn. But yeah, I mean, it's good.
Oh,
It's really creative. Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, and the best part, just to back up to like, and justifies my little rant in the beginning about weird people. Sorry, weird people. Like,
Sure.
Juan was like, dude, no. And his boyfriend's like, oh, come in. I'm
Yeah.
like, no. Like, Wong had good instincts. He's like, are those my
Yep.
ribbons? Like, anyway, yeah, dude. Like, so cautionary tale, motherfuckers. Like, yeah, it's okay to if you sense stranger danger, like as long as you're not like killing them, then good, stay
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. Yeah. I got
Sorry.
a friend I was talking to her about something, and she was talking about people, and she's like, "Yeah, I don't know. This person's kind of weird." And I was like, "Yeah, if somebody's giving you the wrong vibes, peace out.
Yes.
You don't owe anybody anything.
Oh yes.
If somebody's making you uncomfortable,
That's it.
you have every right to just walk away. Don't be afraid to do that. So, kick people out if they're not feeling that need.
Why are you doing this to us? Because you let us. Going
Hmm.
back to that movie that you guys we talked about a few times ago. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Speak no
exactly.
evil.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect
Yeah.
example.
So
So
cool.
it's an evil kid, basically.
Need weapons?
Yeah,
I mean,
No.
I don't want to spoil, but no, not at all.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they
But
make you
again, the
think it
less you know,
is
the
the one.
better.
Oh, okay.
They
Because they,
definitely for a good chunk of the film leave you guessing. That's
Yeah.
that's one of the nice things about this movie, I think, is that they do keep you
hmm
guessing, trying to figure out what's going on. And then
Do all these kids die?
can't
I don't
tell you.
know. But what I will say though, I learned that from
I'm
you,
not
Kevin.
gonna
I'm like,
see it and
I don't
freak
know.
it.
But I'll just say that it was it was worse than I thought. Like as the shit gets explained, I'm like, damn.
I'll
Like,
tell. I'll say this: if you have questions about it, Lauren, will ask us when we're done recording. Because especially if you're not going to see it, I'll definitely answer them for you. The reason to not say anything here is that if anybody's watching this and hasn't seen it, that wants to see it, I definitely don't want to spoil too much because, like Andrew
yeah,
said,
Yeah.
it is worth not knowing anything if you're going to see this.
Yeah.
It there's enough interesting stuff that happens in it that, um, to be fair, I think I probably spoiled a little bit of it, more of it last week,
yeah. I mean,
than I
you told
probably
the
should have.
plot, but it's all
But
good.
but yeah, it's really it's really good. Like I said, original, and I think yeah, knowing less is more in this case. I think you get a lot more out of it.
Yes.
Um, but okay, so what did you think about the random? Like it just felt random, but maybe, like you said, thinking about it more, maybe it's less random. But in his dream, when he goes to the house and there's a big M16 over the house with a clock on it.
Yeah, I think that was. I mean, I was doing a lot of reading. And I just got to get this out really quick. Apparently, when Zach Krager sent the script to some like studio, it only took like an hour and a half for the CEO of the studio to come back and make him an offer of like 30 million. Isn't that insane? Anyway, so that's aspirational right there. But going back to the whole your question, allegory for school shooting. I think that's what that was about. And yeah, and it's a little unsettling because me personally, like I can't imagine the pain of anyone who had a kid who died in a school shooting.
Mhm.
So why would you do that? Yeah, I think that's a little too close to home. But yes, I do think that the film did
Oh,
allegorically kind of touch on that, but I don't think it really, yeah, I'm with you,
I
Carrie.
think I
It's
said that
fucking
last
random.
week. Like I felt like at one point I was like, did these kids not disappear? Like, are we seeing somebody's psychosis and this was a school shooting? Like, I actually thought that could have
Right.
been, like,
Yeah.
I thought that could have been what was happening in the film, for sure. And I was like, especially when they put that up there, I was like,
Dude, I
like,
just made the connection. I just made the connection. Sorry, it happened in real time, dude. It happened in real time. It is absolutely an allegory for it's anti-gun.
yeah,
It's anti-gun because check it out. Basically, it's not it's true that it's the person behind the gun that makes the outcome, right?
hmm
So basically, at the end, the person who was wielding the weapon died by their weapon.
hmm
But it's still so the answer is to get rid of whatever allowed them to do that in the first place.
right,
The existence of weapons are bad. So I think that's really in a very like N type like layered way what Zach is communicating.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yes, I think it was like that. That's what because the gun was over the house,
yep.
and the house I think is where all it was going down because
What
that's
was it
I
over that house? I thought it was over
it was his own
Brolin's
house.
house.
Oh, okay. If it was over Brolin's house,
I'm
then
not
I just
sure.
lost it there. But either way, yeah, I think that's what it's about.
Yeah, like I said, that was definitely like something that was going through my mind watching the movie. I was like, is
Yeah.
this like a fever dream where people are actually recovering from this other tragedy? Um, which was not the case, but at the same time, like,
One more thing I'll also say is like I have to say this movie challenged me and I'm learning it. I think this is also me strengthening my own emotional boundaries. And that is I sometimes have a hard time watching and relating to people who would do things I wouldn't do. And I really did not like Mrs. Gandy's decisions. I didn't like her choices, Julia Garner's character. And I'm just like, I can't stand you. Like, you suck. I mean, I get what but you kind of suck. But I think this movie challenged me to say, Andrew, okay, you get it. Like, you have a strong sense of self. You're probably wiser than some other motherfuckers, but you just need to like be okay with that and let people live and just and let the story go. And by the end of it, I was like, you know what? Like, cool. Like you had to go through your journey and you did. But I remember just thinking to myself, like a lot of movies, if there's not a character that would do things I would do, I have a hard time liking it, but there's nobody in this movie. Actually, there
there's
is
no
one
Andrew.
person. I think the closest thing to an Andrew is the fucking kid.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. She is for sure a messy character, right? Like she's got issues with alcohol. She is a teacher, so she cares about people. And then she has this bizarre, crazy thing happen to her. And so of course she's a mess. And then she falls back into old patterns because she's a messy person. And like you said, she as a somebody that teaches kids of that age, I think you have to be a very feeling person, right? Like you have to be. And so all the world's emotions and all those things just mess her up more. And she's not capable of making an intelligent decision, in that movie.
Is this a type of movie that you think would have teachers feel a certain way leaving
I don't think
film
so.
or not
Yeah, I don't think it would
necessarily?
necessarily be traumatic for a teacher, um, because they don't actually focus on the classroom itself very often.
Okay.
It's about the students and about the kids to a degree, but really it's about the people dealing with this
The
disappearance.
the one thing I would say though is I feel like teachers a lot of times will clash with the administration, right? And I
Hmm.
think that this was a teacher who was being basically told what she couldn't do by her principal, and the principal I think was in the right, he was
Sure.
definitely trying to talk sense into her, but she's like, "No, but what about the kid?" And he's like, "I get that you care about the kid, but you shouldn't be going to his house and peeking in the windows because
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
like,
She
you
definitely went
know."
too far. Yeah.
So, but I think some teachers would be like, I don't care. Like, I'm gonna peek in the windows,
Yeah.
Like, even when she went in the back, but what are you doing? Like, I'm just like,
Yeah.
why are you going in the backyard?
Yeah.
There could be a fucking pit bull in there for all you know. Like, what are you doing? Anyways, let me calm
Yeah.
down again.
Yeah. She's definitely not rational. In
Gotcha.
her emotion for sure. And some of that is because, again, because she's a feeling person, but also she's
Hmm.
damaged. Like she's impulsive. You can see that because of her alcoholism, because of the choices that she makes. Another, like she's a very impulsive person, not necessarily somebody that's going to think about the consequences of what she's doing until later. So,
Hmm.
um, that has less to do with her being a teacher than it does her character being
Human.
crazy and compulsive. Like
Yeah.
not crazy is the wrong word, but just impulsive,
Yeah.
Sure.
and messy. So, all right. So yeah, again, if horror is your jam at all, definitely worth a watch. Now, I'm
Yes.
I'm probably with you. I don't necessarily think this was like 100%. When I
Yeah.
was watching it, it
Did
did
say
feel a
that.
little long in the middle. Like there was some stuff for me that wasn't perfect, but it was a good film. It was a really good film. So, all right. So moving on, I'm curious, Lauren, you watched Gene and Gilda,
I
about
did.
Gene Wilder and Gilda Radner.
Yes, I did an off-Broadway show. I went to an off-Broadway show this evening and was able to see the show that actually debuted about 2, 3 years ago in my county where I grew up, and my parents saw the show out of the small theater company that is, I don't know, within 10 miles from where I grew up. And they talked about it and they said it was really good. And then once its success was, I guess, marked at a certain point of time, what happens is they'll start a lot of these smaller shows in theaters and then eventually bring them, if they're successful, to different cities, towns, etc. But now it's off Broadway in New York City. So the theater I was in had maybe 100 seats or so, give or take. And it was a slow night because we got like sixth row for $38 a ticket, my friend and I, and it was on Andrew, you'll know where this is, Park Avenue and 59th Street. So the small
Mhm.
little theater house on I guess we'll consider that the Upper East Side. And it tells the story of the relationship between Gene Wilder and Gilda Radner, which I was not familiar with. And I know Gene Wilder from Willy Wonka. And I didn't really know too much about Gilda Radner other than she was in the first couple of seasons of SNL since its inception. And my parents would always say, yeah, she did a lot of funny stuff. She was like the Kristen Wiig, the Rachel Dratch of
Mhm.
those early years in terms of her impressions, but also the one my dad says that wasn't afraid to like take it the extra mile and like put on like a wig or make herself look undesirable, essentially. And she was a great success. And then starting in 1981, Sidney Poitier directed a film called Hanky Panky, where Jean and Gilda starred as, I guess, love interests or at some point a couple, and this brought them together. Gilda was married for about a year at that point, and she was not happy in her marriage. And at that time, Jean, who's I believe like at least 10 years older than her in real life, had already been divorced twice. And she definitely, based on this play, was adamant in getting together with him and showing him, I think we could really be a power couple, and in many respects seduced him at first. And over a period of time, they really fell in love and then got married in, I believe, 1984, and were each other's rocks in many respects creatively by trying to write scripts for things. She was on the East Coast initially in Connecticut and working in NYC, and he was on the West Coast living in LA, and they were doing the long distance relationship, and they decided, let's get married, let's make this real. They moved to LA together, and it really just shows the trials and tribulations of their marriage. Even though that they had a very loving relationship, they went through a lot of hardships professionally, both of them. There's one point where he just is completely burnt out in the beginning because he's not getting the roles that he wants. And he's like, maybe I should be a dramatic actor. And she's like, no, stick to your roots. You're someone who goes for comedy. And same thing for her. She really wants to make it out in the film world, given that she was so successful on SNL and then she was on Broadway for a bit. And they keep on getting, apparently, like the movies that they were in were all just horrible, but they loved being in movies together. And then, of course, the tragic issues that she experienced, they wanted to have children. Unfortunately, that couldn't happen for them. She had some issues with getting pregnant. And then around after her, I think, 40th birthday, she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer and died 2 years later, tragically. So, very sad ending, but the actual format of the show, it's the two of them. And at the beginning, he comes out and he's in an interview, and the interviewer, you just hear the interviewer's voice, asks about Gilda. And he's like, I don't want to talk about Gilda, please. Like, let's not talk about her. And he's like, and then you see Gilda come into the background. She's like, you don't want to talk about me? I mean, it's about time. You're talking about me. And then they go back in time and you see when they first meet and stuff. And the actor who plays him looks so much like Gene Wilder. It's crazy. Just everything from his hair to his facial features. It's they really casted someone who was like pretty spot on. And the girl, the one who played Gilda, like it was convincing for sure, but he looked spot on, like easily could have been like his son. So the actor who played Gene, Jonathan Randall Silver, and then Jordan K. Burnett plays Gilda. So it's the same cast that my parents saw like 3 years ago. And yeah, it's going to be playing through, I think, early mid-September at this smaller playhouse off Broadway on 59th. But overall, very good story. I definitely teared up at the end, knowing how she passes. And yeah, but it was a strong marriage for, I think, 4 or 5 years. They were together for 8, and they definitely brought out the best in one another.
Is this a one act or a two act play?
One act, 75 minutes.
Okay,
Wow.
that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I was looking at the picture. I think they tried to Gilda her up by giving her messy hair, right? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of how you make her look like Gilda Radner, right?
Yeah, just
Um,
incredibly messy hair,
yeah,
and she
he
was very funny. The girl did the actress who played Gilda, the accents, like she did a Barbara Walters accent that was so good. And I don't really know her other impressions, but yeah, everyone was laughing. But I was telling my parents, it was like my friend and I were the youngest in the crowd by at least 10, 15 years,
Sure.
For sure. Like, yeah,
which
this
made
is
sense.
feels like a targeted audience for sure.
Yeah.
But she was, I mean, when she was on SNL, like she was, like you said, she was sort of fearless. Like she was a sort of chaotic energy like you get from
Yeah.
some of these more modern people, but she was not afraid. And to be fair, the people that she was surrounded with, she had to be like that, or she would have been lost in the shuffle. Like you don't go up with a Bill Murray and with a Chevy Chase
Belushi.
and all these other guys,
Yeah.
and not be able to basically bully your way onto stage and bully your way through the stuff.
Yeah.
She had to be a tough girl, and she is always funny. And Gene Wilder, of course, is Gene Wilder, right? Like
Yeah.
so many fantastic roles out of him. There's still a lot of people that want Jeremy Allen White to play
Exactly, dude.
the young
I
Gene Wilder for sure.
I was comparing the two. I Googled Jonathan Randall Silver and then Jeremy Allen White. I love how they both have three names.
Yeah.
But no, Jeremy Allen White, I'm sure he's probably sick of hearing it, but I mean it's sick, and maybe
Yeah.
but he can do comedy. I mean, I feel
Oh
like he
yeah.
could pull it off. So yeah, he should. It's maybe he's waiting for the right paycheck, the right script, the right everything. If we're gonna do this,
Yeah.
we have to do it right. But he'd
The,
kill
the
it.
the yeah, the other side of that coin too is if sometimes if it's so obvious, you're just like, nah, I don't want to do that because the expectations would be too high, right? So like I don't know. It's definitely interesting. This guy looks like, especially for stage, it looks perfect for Gene Wilder though.
Yeah.
You have to sit back a good 20 something feet, right? Like it's not you're sitting there
Right.
with his face on your screen. So at your best, you're 20 to 30 feet away from him, and at your worst, 100 something feet away from him. So, um, yeah, kind of perfect. And as long as the acting is good, it sounds like these two basically originated the roles. Yeah.
Yes. Hmm.
So yeah, so they've got a lot of experience with that. So that's pretty
Yeah.
pretty great too.
I don't know if it's gonna hit. Maybe it will hit Broadway down the line. I don't know. Usually a two-person show is more of an off-Broadway
Yeah.
thing, I feel. Although I did see the Gene Smart one that was a one-person show and that was on Broadway, but I feel like things like that have smaller casts typically are for an off-Broadway versus an on-Broadway unless you have like a huge name like a Gene Smart
Yeah.
or I'm trying to think who else did like a one-person show recently.
Hugh Jackman did, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, that wasn't on Broadway. That's he's doing this like
It's his own.
residency
Yeah.
thing. Like it's a his show thing
Yeah.
through the end of this year, which obsessed with, but I don't
Yeah.
want to
I feel
take up
like
more
I
of
feel
his
like the
time.
one man show is more likely to hit on Broadway. God damn it. Is more likely to hit on Broadway because you usually bring in a name for that, right? So it's like
Sure.
this person's one man show. A two-person show seems like it would be more off Broadway because you're probably telling a different type of story, and that is
Yeah.
usually something shorter. And then obviously big casts make it on Broadway because then you have a
Yeah.
large stage and money and all that.
Yeah. But I did enjoy it. I thought it was good and they also had like both some pretty serious just traumas from childhood. She dealt with an eating disorder and he dealt with some abuse as an adolescent. His parents sent him to like a military school and he was abused at military school. So that was pretty traumatic for him. So yeah, they talk about that. And I think Gilda Radner being like the tough cookie that she was, she brought a lot of that trauma and allowed Gene to open up for like the first time in a way that he had never opened up in the past and was able to like work on his trauma. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds like it was one of those relationships where it was short, but damn, it was powerful and there were fireworks there. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, cool. It does sound good. It's funny because it's one of those stories too when you kind of read about how the play works. It's him kind of remembering their life through an interview and things like that. I feel
Yeah.
like you couldn't necessarily turn this into a movie. So like
Yeah,
this is like the perfect place for this story to be told in a smaller theater kind of tight environment.
I agree.
Um,
Yeah.
whereas if you were to make a movie, you're probably gonna go bigger and really show their lives outside of each other and then meeting each other and stuff like that. So yes, Jeremy Allen White is perfect. Who you would cast as Gilda Radner, I don't know off the top of my head. Maybe somebody like Sarah Silverman or something who is good at, you know,
Impressions.
and being a little over the top, but also
Yeah.
not. Yeah, like so just you'd have to cast the person with the right amount of brass to play the character. Or
Yeah.
Jenny Slate maybe actually would be a great person to play Gilda Radner. Now that I think about it, um, but yeah, it would be different though. You would get a lot of you would build more story than you can on stage, but the stage allows you to tell a more intimate story in a way that doesn't allow you that you usually don't see in film. So
Hmm.
if you want to see the story, this is the place to see it, I think,
Yeah,
at least told this way.
for
So.
sure. Yeah, it was solid, and I think definitely for the boomer generation and the generation before that's still around, they really appreciated it. I mean, we got there early and we're sitting in the audience and you just see people coming in with canes and coming in just yeah, we were definitely like the youngest in the crowd, my friend and I, but yeah, really great story, very sad of course at the end, but and Gene Wilder, he passed away in 2016. He was 83 years old, so he
Yeah,
Long life.
fairly long.
yeah, he did it, but he faded away. Like he kind of retired
Yeah.
pretty for a lot of actors kind of younger than I would have expected. Um but he was always great. Young Frankenstein is fantastic. His career was just obviously Willy Wonka. He was
Yeah.
perfect for that role. So yeah, he's always pretty awesome. So I don't have anything else. I think you have one more, but maybe we'll save it for next week because we're a little long because I
Wait.
couldn't
Sure.
shut up about Alien. Um,
Sure.
what was Andrew? You said there was one trailer.
Yeah,
If I
so The Long Walk.
Oh
I don't
yes,
know if you
Stephen
saw
King.
that trailer, yes, but I'm in. So David Johnson is an actor. He played the android in Alien Romulus. So basically the
Yes, like it.
premise is it's dystopian and there's just these kids and they have to walk and maintain a pace of 3 miles, and it's literally very Darwinian where if you fall behind, they kill you. And apparently, Mark Hamill is in the movie as like the guy kind of barking orders. And I'm in, dude. Like I'm fucking in. It comes out in September. So I remember seeing that preview and going, "Yep, I'll be seeing that." So basically the three movies I wanted to just basically highlight were and also it's by Francis Lawrence. He's a director, and I recognize his name because he did a lot of music videos back in the day. Like we're talking like early 2000s, like Britney Spears, like whatever. Like he was a name I saw on MTV. He also worked on every Hunger Games film after the first one. And then he also did the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And I just see that in 2026, Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping. And this is going to be Hey Mitch's origin story. So that's coming
Mm-hmm.
out. And that's
Mm.
super exciting because I'm looking at the cast. McKenna Grace is in there. She's also in some movie that I saw in a preview that definitely looked more like, I hate to the term, but more of like a chick flick, but it's a crazy looking movie because it's like, let me calm down for a second. This Hunger Games movie has like Jesse Plemons, McKenna Grace, Elle Fanning, Kieran Culkin, Glenn Close, Billy Porter, Ray Fiennes, Maya Hawke. Yo, this movie is stacked, okay? 2026. So watch out for that. But then this movie that I saw with McKenna Grace that I will not see, but it looked intriguing, is it's two sets of high school friends, right? Like high school friends get married and have kids, okay? Unfortunately, so it's four people, the husband from couple A and wife from couple B get in a car crash and die. And then the leftovers are like, why the hell were they together? So that's kind of this kind of dark, like, what the hell's going on? But McKenna Grace is like, okay, but I'm like seeing a boyfriend of my dreams, and like, so how can I like be happy for myself when my family's falling apart? So again, definitely not a movie that I would care about at all, but I could see Saloni liking it maybe. I don't know, but the scandal piece is like kind of cool, but McKenna Grace. Anyway, I just like her because I've seen her in Ghostbusters. She was the best part of that movie, and she was good in the Conjuring movie. Annabelle, I think too.
Mhm.
So yeah, between that, the Roses trailer, and Him by Marlon Wayans, and The Walk, like Hollywood's figuring it out. Maybe the writer's strike like forced good shit to come out from it.
The Long Walk is an interesting one because it's a short story by Stephen King when he was writing as Richard Bachman.
Right.
So um, I'm trying to remember which four books were in that.
Oh, he
There was
wrote with a different
Thinner.
pseudonym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after the success of Salem's Lot, I think it was either Salem's Lot or shit. What was his third book? But he did Carrie, and then he did Salem's Lot, and then maybe it was The Shining. Maybe I get those backwards. But he got so big in publishing that he was worried that people were now only buying books because of his name and not because he was a good writer.
Oh wow.
Mm.
So he created the Bachman books, one of which is completely out of publication.
Dude, I'm so sorry. You said so I got your four. Rage, The Long Walk, Roadwork, and
The
The
Running
Running
Man.
Man.
Yes. Rage is off the shelf at Stephen King's request because he wrote this in 79, 80, 81, somewhere in there. It
77.
is it that old?
Yeah.
It is about a school shooting. And
Oh.
so after Columbine, he looked at it and said, I'm pulling this off the shelf. So you actually, if you go buy the Bachman books now, you cannot buy that book. It's now a set of three short stories instead of four. I have the set of four, and Rage is it's a really good dark story, but it is definitely like when you see what has happened in schools, you're like, yeah, that kids should not be reading. And I think too, I think the Columbine kids actually referenced that story. So like it's definitely a touchy subject, and it's been pulled. It's hard to
Dude,
find,
there's
but
a lot of them. Check this out. Connections to actual school shootings. There's a lot of bullet points. Jeffrey Lynn Cox, a senior at San Gabriel High School, basically took a gun to school in 88, and he actually mentioned the article. Dustin Pierce, 89. September 11th, weird. 1991, Ryan Harris. January 18th, 1993, Scott Pennington. December 1997, another guy. I'm going to stop giving them their names, whatever. So that's like five or six people, man.
yeah, I
And
mean, it's a very like when he wrote it, school shootings weren't really a thing, right? Like they weren't happening. So when you think of something that's crazy, a place where people should be safe, right? That's how you make a good
yeah,
scary story is you tell the story where people should be safe and they're not, and where you expect people to be safe. And then when you take something like, again, thinking about weapons, thinking about Josh Brolin's character as a parent, you think about the things that are supposed to be safe, that are supposed to be safe havens. If you want to tell a scary story, you set it in that location.
yeah.
And so, of course, he wrote it, and then people are like, "Cool, well, I'm going to do the most damage I can." This story is, uh, kind of sets that off. So, of course, it was an idea by a guy that in 70, if he wrote it in 77, was what, 25, 26 maybe. Like I think him and Tabitha were married in 75, somewhere around there. So I'm like, maybe he had his first kid by then. Like he didn't have the experience to understand just how dark this is,
Yeah.
right? And so, looking back, of course, he pulled it, and it's hard to find. It is from a storytelling standpoint, from a suspense and horror standpoint, it's a great short story, but you can see why it's, you know, dark. But to see The Long Walk and Running Man come out of that series of books is really interesting too. The other one that he did that was successful that nobody talks about is Different Seasons, which gave us Apt Pupil, which most people forget about, but that starred uh, Ethan Hawke and Magneto.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah, anyways, that is about a kid who lives next door to a former Nazi, and the kid is messed up enough that he really wants to know everything about him as a Nazi, and that's Ian
Ian
McKellen.
McKellen.
And that spirals into a bit of horror, but different seasons also gave us The Body, which is um,
Stand by Me,
Stand By Me, one of the best
my
80s,
favorite movie.
and then Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption, which is arguably one of the best movies of all time. So,
Yeah,
like, it's funny the things that Stephen King has written that people don't actually give him credit for. Like, people don't remember that Stand By Me is a Stephen King story. People don't remember that Shawshank Redemption is a Stephen King story because you're
correct.
used to big horror, you're used to It and The Shining and things like that.
Hmm.
But he's written some really great stuff too.
And I know it's super late. I'll just say this as one last line. Thanks for this link, Lauren. Conjuring Last Rites. I'm in. All right.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited for that one for sure. It again, the franchise kind of went off the board. Uh,
The Smashing Machine with
I don't know,
Don Johnson,
man.
not Don Johnson,
Dwayne
Dwayne
Johnson.
Johnson. He's going for his Oscar, baby. That looks good too. That looks good too.
I don't know,
And
man.
what's her
I
name?
really have to watch a trailer because for me, like Dwayne has never played anybody that's not Dwayne.
He's not Dwayne in this. And
All right,
his wife is, I'm trying to remember. She's the wife of
Emily Blunt.
Mr. Fantastic. What? Who?
No, it's Emily Blunt, right?
Thanks for what I'm saying. Mr.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah, Emily Blunt. Thank you. So at first I thought it was what's her name? Megan from Transformers. Because I felt like, but
Hmm.
Fox,
Emily Blunt? What's that?
Megan
Yeah,
Fox.
yeah, Megan Fox. Yeah, yeah. I thought it was Megan Fox at first, but then I was like, that's Emily Blunt? What? So it's like, yeah, it looks good, man. So thank you for again, I got that from your link, Lauren. So I was just sitting there watching all these trailers, and I'm like, damn, there's a lot of good stuff coming out. And it's
Yeah.
not all superhero.
And in 2025, like that's the crazy
Right.
thing. Like the amount of stuff. Tron Ares is this year.
Tron Ares. Okay, I gotta re-up my AMC stubs. Like that, like I guess gotta come back
It's
to it.
Yeah,
time.
It's
so
time.
let me tell you this. I saw the original Tron a bajillion years ago. Don't remember anything about it. Never saw the second Tron movie.
I did.
I need to rewatch all this stuff
Yeah.
because I've heard really good things and kind of get back into it. The other one that looks like fun. Have you seen the trailer for Good Fortune with Keanu
No,
Reeves?
no.
He's like an angel that comes to Earth,
Oh.
and it's just like it looks like a lot of fun. I don't know, but what actually caught my eye about this, and it's from the link that Lauren sent. It's directed by Aziz Ansari, who I really like, and I don't think he's
Oh
directed anything yet. I'm
yeah.
not sure if this is his debut or not, or what, but
Probably.
um, it should be interesting and fun.
Mortal
So
Kombat 2. I mean, yeah, it's a lot. But no, I that's mentioned in this link that we just got. So yeah, man.
yeah, there's
One thing that's not
surprisingly.
on there, guys, that I do want to see, Billy Zane's going to be playing
Yes.
Marlon Brando. That I want to see
Oh,
in
Yeah.
all right.
end of
And he
September, early
looks
October.
amazing.
He looks so much like him. Yeah. So it explores his life in Hollywood, his sexuality, which I guess people didn't. Well, I think he was
I
pretty,
knew.
like, yeah. From what my dad said, he was pretty open about it too. Like when people asked him that, or at least I believe he was bisexual, but leaned more towards men. But he was seen as this like very macho character from The Godfather. So that was like a big thing too, where I guess they were like hush hush about it. But yeah, it looks good based on the
Also,
previews. Go ahead.
oh, sorry. Go.
No, 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 I'm done.
All right. Also, I just have to, I was going to mention it, but I thought it was going to be too much, but it's coming out in November. So the Running Man remake is coming out this year too.
Yep.
So that's happening.
That looks
And
like a fun bit of
I don't know
chaos.
how you, oh, it's right. It's Glenn Powell. That's right.
Yep.
Because I mean, Arnold was pretty, that's an Arnold movie. So Harlan has seen The Running Man, I'm sure of it, but you should ask him if he's seen it.
I will ask
Richard
him.
Dawson from The Family Feud was the bad guy in that movie.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So funny.
So all right, cool. Well,
It's late, baby.
I don't have anything else, so I will say with that, I think we'll have some good stuff for next week. And I will say thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.